We are finally here. After a long season filled with drama, 70-point performances, and huge roster turnarounds, whether that be good or bad, we have finally made it to the NBA playoffs. In this video, I will be talking about the first round and who I have winning each series and why. Let's start with the East. The East is loaded this year, and I think they have some sneaky teams in there who should not be overlooked. But you still have teams at the top like the Bucks, Celtics, and Philly, who are the vast majority of everyone's picks to make it out, have undoubtedly been one of the best teams in the East as they passed the Celtics in record and they currently hold the #1 seed in the East. Milwaukee is looking to claim its second NBA Finals in the last 3 seasons, and they will need to get past a loaded conference to make that happen. And the Celtics, for example, were just in the finals last year, and they took a great Warrior squad and a god like Steph Curry to 6 games. One could argue their loss in the finals was more on them than the Warriors actually beating them. Regardless, this year the C's are out for blood and they are not to be overlooked. The last of the big three is Philly, who have a lot of pressure on them. They arguably have the most pressure on them actually. They have what seems like the MVP in Joel Embiid and a motivated James Harden who is looking to change the narratives around his name. Also, they have a Doc Rivers whose job seems like it's on the line in this postseason. The West shouldn't be slept on either. People have been talking like the West is pretty weak, and I don't think that's the case. I think the Nuggets have been disrespected all season. They are a threat and a legit contender just like the Suns. The Suns made a huge acquisition over the trade deadline to acquire KD, and when the three of them have played, they've looked almost unstoppable. We'll explore all of that more in detail later on in the video, and we'll see how everything plays out by the time the NBA Finals comes. But as of right now, we're just gonna start attacking the first round. But before I get into it, make sure y'all like the video and comment. Now, the first series we're gonna attack is the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Miami Heat. This is a series that I don't think deserves too much attention. I don't think Milwaukee struggles with Miami at all, and I think they get rid of them fairly quickly. With the dominance of Giannis and just the sheer greatness of this Bucks team, I think it's gonna be overwhelming for Miami, and they just won't be able to handle it. Miami also had been struggling in the play-in. They struggled to beat the Bulls, and they lost to the Hawks, who everybody had them beating. And Bam Adebayo, for me personally, is on fraud watch. It seems like every time in the playoffs, he just doesn't play as good as we would like him to play. And Jimmy Butler, he'll probably be good as usual. It's playoff Jimmy for a reason, but I don't think that's going to be enough for Miami to be able to beat the Bucks. And for that reason, I have Milwaukee in 4. The next series is the Boston Celtics versus the Hawks. This is just like the Bucks series, and I see Boston winning and overpowering the Hawks. And I know the Hawks had an impressive win over the Heat, but I don't think that happens with the Celtics. I think the Celtics match up with them way better than the Heat did, and I think they give Trey way more problems. And on top of that, I don't think DeJounte is going to make up for it. I don't think Clint Capella is going to be able to deter any type of rim pressure that the Celtics put on the rim. And with all that being said, I have the Celtics in 4. A clean sweep. I think they get the Hawks out nice and quick. Now, the next series we have is Philly versus the Nets. Now, of course, the Sixers should win this series rather quickly, but I don't think Brooklyn goes down without a fight. None of these games will be easy due to Brooklyn's strengths such as perimeter scoring. That is one of Philly's biggest weaknesses, that they don't really have any perimeter defenders. And Spencer Dinwiddie, Mikal Bridges, Joe Harris, Seth Curry, and Cameron Johnson will most definitely give them trouble. But the Sixers have by far the best player in this series in Joel Embiid. Philly will continue to lean on Joel and feed him because the Nets really won't have anybody to defend them. I mean, you have Claxton, but only best thing that Claxton can do is slow him down. Now, although this should be a quick series, I would not be surprised if Harden struggles as he is coming off an injury, or even if Embiid struggles, or if Doc gets out coached and this series goes on longer than it's supposed to. Give me Philly in 5 with a chance of it going 6. Now, the final first round series that we're going to talk about in the East, which actually probably will be the best and longest series in the Eastern Conference, is the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the New York Knicks. Now, Let's start off with breaking down each team. The Cavs have a top 10 offense and defense. I believe their offense is number 8, and I believe they had the best defense in the NBA. Now, the Knicks did win 3 of their 4 matchups versus the Cavs in the regular season, but one thing we have to look out for is the fact that Julius Randle is entering the playoffs nursing an ankle injury. The 2-time All-Star had appeared in every single game this season before he turned his left ankle versus Miami on March 29th. The Knicks evaluated him, and they announced the next day that he will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. And as of a couple of days ago, they announced that he will be playing. So with Randle playing, and even if he didn't play, I think the end result is still going to be the same. The Cavs are a team I think people are sleeping on a bit by saying they are 1 year away. I think with the ascension of Mobley this season and all the other pieces such as Garland, Mitchell, and Allen are ready right now, and although I think the Knicks match up well against them, I don't like them in this series. The only way I see the Knicks winning is if Brunson and Randle play at an all-NBA level while still getting consistent elite play from Barrett and others. Also, they will have to play elite defense, which is something they have not done all season. I don't see RJ just becoming some very consistent player now, and I'm not sure about Randle's performance in the playoffs this time around. Remember last time he struggled, and that was against the Hawks. I think the Cavs get them out in 6. I do think this next team with Brunson and guys like Quickly, Grimes, and Barrett can take 2 games away from the Cavs. These teams are evenly matched, and it won't be a cakewalk, but I still have the Cavs winning in 6. Now, those are all my predictions for the first round of the East. Now let's move on to the West. The first series we're going to talk about in the West is the Denver Nuggets versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is a series that I don't really see lasting that long. I mean, the Timberwolves do have a fighting chance, I guess, if Ant's healthy and if Cat plays similarly to how he played in the Lakers game. But I don't think Rudy can hold Jokic, and I don't think the Timberwolves have anybody that can keep up with the shooters that Denver has on the perimeter, especially with Jaden McDaniels being gone, which is a huge blow to that Timberwolves team. I struggle to see the Timberwolves even taking 2 games from the Nuggets. They're not going to be able to stop Jokic. Nobody on the perimeter can keep up with Jamal Murray. And at the end of the day, the Nuggets are just overall the better team, and they probably are better coached than the Timberwolves. So with that being said, I think this is a sweep as well. Maybe if Ant is healthy and his shoulder issue is fixed and Cat has a similar game to how he played versus the Lakers, they could take a game at home, but I don't really see that happening. Now, the next series we have, and the one that everybody is talking about, is the Grizzlies versus the Lakers. The Lakers are the team who beat the Timberwolves in the play-in to earn their 7th seed, and they get the honor to play the Memphis Grizzlies in the first round. Now, this is a series I could see going pretty long, like 6 games and maybe 7, just because of the talent the Lakers have on their roster. On top of that, Memphis is missing 2 key pieces in their front court in Steven Adams and Brandon Clark. Without those 2, you're really just leaving Jaren Jackson up to stop Anthony Davis and a slashing LeBron James, and that just really probably won't work out so well for them, seeing as you don't want your potential defensive player of the year to get in foul trouble, especially not against this Lakers team. But as talented as Lakers team is, I'm still sticking with the Grizzlies in 6 games, honestly. I don't think this Lakers team is quite there yet, and on top of that, D'Lo has been very questionable, and their offense scares me. Anthony Davis struggles to pass off double teams. D'Angelo Russell hasn't really been good in the playoffs his entire career, except for maybe that Philly series, and I don't think with that mediocre play they're going to be able to take the Memphis Grizzlies out. I don't think Vando has a huge impact, but because as great as he is defensively, he's not that good offensively. Troy Brown really isn't that good. And I think Darvin Ham is probably going to get out coached, as his rotations scare me, and the Lakers don't run any plays, and they have a very stagnant offense. So that's why I'm taking Memphis in 6. Now, next series we have is the Kings versus the Warriors. This is a series that is very intriguing, and I think it's one that is getting overlooked by some people. Now, yes, I know who the Warriors are. I know they just won the championship last year, and they're bringing back a very similar roster back to the playoffs this season. However, don't sleep on the Kings. This is a Kings team that had the best offense in the NBA and the best offense of all time. And they're very legit. They have 2 All-NBA performers, they have a spark plug off the bench, and they have plenty of shooters around. De'Aaron Fox is probably the clutchest player in the league and will probably win that award. Domantas Sabonis has been a beast on the boards and on offense with the dribble handoffs and his playmaking. Malik Monk, even though he might not win the 6th Man of the Year award, has been one of the best spark plugs off the bench. And shooters like Kevin Huerter and Keegan Murray have been deadly all season. But this is the Golden State Warriors we're talking about. Steph Curry has been playing at a All-NBA level this season once again. Draymond Green is again one of the best defenders in basketball, and they have been pretty steady this season. On top of that, Andrew Wiggins is returning after being out for a period of time. But I don't think this is just a cakewalk like some people are saying. I think this series goes at least 6 games with the potential to go 7. However, I would like to say I do have the Warriors taking it in 7. Now, I am very cautious about this pick because even though the Kings do suck on defense, they have a very dynamic offense. However, at the end of the day, I think Wiggins kind of slows some of that down. I think Draymond slows some of that down as well. And I don't think they struggle too much at the road in the Golden One Arena. On top of that, nobody on the Kings can stop Steph Curry. It will be very interesting to see what they do with Klay Thompson. And I just think at the end of the day, the Kings' combination of bad defense and great offense takes them out. However, I have the series going 7 games, and this is a series I could 1000% see the Kings in winning and proving everybody wrong. But it's just that right now, the metrics don't really look good and they're not in the Kings' favor. Now, the last series in the West and the last series I will be talking about today is another series that is very anticipated and people have been talking about a lot. That is none other than the Suns versus the Clippers. However, I don't know if it's worth all of the hype that is being put around it. Now we all know about the Suns. They traded for KD at the deadline, so they have KD, CP3, and Devin Booker, and they've looked pretty good when they've played together. And as for the Clippers, they will be missing Paul George. However, they do have Kawhi, they have some very good depth, and they have Russell Westbrook coming off the bench with Ty Lue coaching. With all of that being said, I see the Suns beating the Clippers in 6 games. I really just don't see how the Clippers can beat Phoenix without Paul George. I didn't even have them winning with Paul George. I think Phoenix overpowers the Clippers, and I think their depth is a little overrated. Russell Westbrook will not be that big of a factor due to the fact that he will be taken out at the end of the game, because if he's left in there, he will lose them the game due to his aggressive and turnover-prone playstyle. And as for their depth, I mean, yeah, their depth could come through, but I'm not really believing the little surge that Bones had at the end of the season. However, I will respect guys like Norman Powell and Eric Gordon because they could be deadly. And Kawhi has looked good since he came back from injury, and I think he could steal and will the Clippers to 2 games from the Suns. But at the end of the day, I think performances from KD and Devin Booker get the Clippers out of here fairly quickly, and that is why I have Phoenix winning in 6 games. But these, of course, are just my predictions. Let me know what you think in the comments. What picks do you disagree with, and what picks do you agree with? What teams do you see getting putting out earlier than I anticipated, and what series do you see going on longer than I talked about? Let me know all in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll be back soon. But that's all I have for now, and until then, peace.